in the cities. And this is very abbreviated. It's well worth the research if you're interested, or if anyone's interested. But those cows, you know, they were hand milked. There was no closed milking systems. There was no refrigeration. Sometimes the workers were very sick, and they were fed. More importantly, the cows were fed the waste from the distilleries, which is not cow food. So you can imagine that that milk was not ideal. Some of it was diseased. And when the advent of pasteurization happened, you know, this was something that did help significantly for a time. But now we've got the knowledge of how to take care of our animals very well. You know, we feed cows grass, which is what they're meant to eat. And we've
That's
got
your opinion. That's a conspiracy theory.
Okay. Fair enough. You know, some people prefer milk from grain-fed cows. So
no. Or like in Europe, the offal. Feeding cows rotten meat is good. No, I mean, I'm being sarcastic. You know, sometimes you're in the store and it says grass-fed beef or whatever. It's kind of like an oxymoron that you would have to tell somebody that. But, you know, nowadays if you criticize government or industry in any way, they just say conspiracy theory. So it was a lame attempt at humor. And, of course, I was oversimplifying, and I think in a way you may be a little bit too, because from my research, there was certainly some of the big dairies that did have problems, and then they wanted to use pasteurization to cover up the problems. Right. But then there were some dairies that, you know, did have good practices as well. But I think the angle you're hitting on, which I've certainly read about, is that it was already big corrupt operations that were used to give old-fashioned milk a bad name.
Right, but there was also, at the same time, there was also plenty of proponents of certified clean raw milk. And the pasteurization won out at the time because it was more efficient. But now we're seeing this wave of people. I call it a food renaissance, because it's people who want to get back to eating really good food, wanting to get back to knowing the sources of their food. And so they're returning to direct farmer-to-consumer transactions, including a large population of people who are returning to raw milk.
Now, I want to give you the floor here instead of going back and forth with a lot of questions, because I've seen the video that's been posted online. Pretty powerful protest, got a lot of attention, and from the press reports I've read, made the FDA and its demonization of raw milk look silly. So basically, I mean, as a raw milk expert, as an activist who's certainly researched this more than myself and most viewers, what is the state of this food renaissance right now? And what is the state of the attempt to crack down or correct me if I'm wrong, intimidate people that are producing raw milk and selling it or bartering it? Because from what I've seen in the news, there is an attempt at least to crack down on it like it's medical marijuana or something.
Right. Well, actually, much worse than that. But just in terms of where it is right now with the people, there's people all the time who are asking for it, who are searching it out. The Weston A. Price Foundation, they have a campaign for real milk that people can look up and find a producer near them. They do a great job of educating about why people would choose raw milk and where to find it. And it's really hard to fully estimate how many people are drinking raw milk right now, but I can tell you it's just a fraction of the number who want to. There's constantly people who are looking for it. It is kind of hard to find because, to the second point, the FDA and the state ag and health departments are ferociously cracking down on our farmers like they're horrible criminals just for producing and, in some cases, providing across state lines raw milk for human consumption. And with that, what we're seeing is, for example, armed raids on farms where they're going in and confiscating thousands or tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and food and sometimes personal belongings. And we're also seeing undercover sting operations on small farms, buying clubs, and co-ops, which, I mean, we know how ridiculous that is. And, I mean, this is milk we're talking about. It's nothing other than milk. But yet, like the buying club that I'm a part of, the FDA conducted a 1.5 year long undercover sting operation on it, just to discover that they were, in fact, providing raw milk.
And by the way, this wasn't done in secret. They do the investigation to I guess, hype themselves up like this is really something illegal, and later if they need to, show it to a jury. I've seen them walk into places selling organic vegetables with guns drawn, as if that makes you a criminal because they act like you're a crack dealer. I mean, you can really see the theater that's involved here.
Right. And sometimes I wonder if the enforcers know exactly what it is that they're going after there, because I can only imagine like how they come home that day and say, you know, their spouse says, so how was your day? And they say, oh, well, I spent the day going after food. I mean, I really wonder if they have any idea what it is they're actually dealing with.
Well, how did you get involved in all of this and then continue with the state of, raw foods, whole foods, period? Because I have a few other questions.
Well, I got involved in all of this because when my first daughter was about one and a half, she had some serious digestive issues, and she was showing signs of being intolerant to conventional milk. And my sister's also highly allergic, so it was natural for me to suspect that. And we did some research, my husband and I did some research, and we found that we wanted to try her on raw milk. And we did, and her digestive issues completely cleared up. And there was a time when after my second daughter was weaned, that we couldn't find it, and we put them both back on pasteurized milk, and they both got very sick from it. So ever since then, we've decided, you know, raw is the only way to go. We're not going to try again to put them on pasteurized. It did not work for them. So that's how I got involved, just in that, in just purchasing it. But then when I realized part of what happened was in Maryland, the health department, who regulates milk, banned cow shares. Now, a cow share is when several people go in together and each own part of a cow and then get the milk from their own animal. And the health department redefined that as a sale of raw milk, specifically to make it illegal.
Yeah, God forbid people in the cities start creating their own farming co-ops. That'll end the big Wally world. That would end concentration camp farming of chicken. That would be people actually going back to the land by hiring their own people to do it. My God, that would end the power monopoly over people in North America. We can't have that.
Of course not. So they redefined it. They just took something and redefined it, because when you're the government, you can just redefine things. And so they made it illegal, and that really upset me, because that's when my daughters couldn't get it. And so it really pissed me off that here they are undermining my authority as a parent. Now, mind you, I can feed my children soda pop and lollipops all day long, perfectly fine.
Or formula that's half corn syrup.
Yes, right. But get raw milk for them? No.
Well, but by the way, I've read a lot of history. If you go back even 100 years ago, or even 60, 70 years ago, I was reading cases in Germany. The doctors, before they were told by HMOs what to do, they would say, your child can't hold down regular milk, get them raw milk. I mean, this has been well known. Or if they have a problem with that, get them raw goat milk. Or raw goat milk that's been powdered, or Jenny milk, jackass, donkey milk. I mean, all of these, this has all been known for cultures forever. You know, you figured it out yourself, trial and error, but this has been figured out by people, and it's been known. And but here's another question I have for you, and you can finish up with the other story, or finish that and then get into this. I was having an argument with a family member about, no, raw cheese is legal. I don't care if you read in the news that they raided a group who was, a farm that was creating raw cheese. You can go to Whole Foods and buy raw cheese all day long. In fact, most stuff from Europe's raw cheese. And then I went and showed them on the Whole Foods website. Yes, frequently asked questions. In fact, folks, we can probably show this after you leave. It says, yes, we sell raw cheese for now. So the point is, how are they rating people producing raw cheese, but then big companies are allowed to sell it? I mean, this...
Well, yeah, the raw cheese has a lot of regulations around it, including certain aging requirements. So in most places, it's legal to sell raw cheese that have certain aging requirements met. And I think you're talking of Morning Land Dairy in Missouri. They got raided, and they got shut down, and they got told to destroy their entire stock of cheese, which completely put them out of business. And the reason for that is because there was some listeria discovered on the cheese. Now, that never made anybody sick, and listeria can be present on lots of food that doesn't actually affect people. So it didn't matter that this cheese hadn't made anybody sick and that it's a small operation. They just arbitrarily shut them down because of that.
there's so many facets to this. If you were on national TV for just 3-4 minutes, you had the floor. What are some of the points